Well, a very good morning, everyone, and a warm welcome to the Ready for Life Festival 2023, jointly organized by CPF Board and Money Sense. My name is Yvonne Chan, and I'm delighted to be your host and the moderator for this session. On behalf of CPF Board and Money Sense, we want to thank you for joining us for this third edition of the festival, where we've invited distinguished speakers and experts to share more about how we can make everyday matter and plan for your best life today. And this morning, we are very honored to have a special guest join us on stage for a fireside chat. And he is none other than Singapore's Health Minister, Minister Ong Kong. He's going to share more on his take on retirement, how communities can stay engaged, age well, and retire healthily and with purpose. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me now in welcoming on stage Minister Ong Kong. Welcome, Minister. Good to see you. So I have to say, Minister Ong, just before I came for the event today, after seeing your video about COVID infections coming up again, I did do a COVID test, and thankfully it was negative, just to put your mind at ease.
Which is all right,
Yeah, just to.
If you have your vaccinations done, and especially if you have been infected before, COVID is no scarier than influenza. Yeah, in fact, I would say I'm more worried you have influenza than you have COVID. Yeah, because I'm well vaccinated and I'm young enough. Yeah.
Yes, definitely young enough. Absolutely.
So the message is that if you are 60 and above and you are vulnerable, means you have underlying illness like diabetes, and you have not taken your vaccination, you have not been infected for the last 12 months, then I think COVID is quite scary for you. So I think you have to identify for yourself, do I belong to that vulnerable group? I think between you and I, we are quite okay.
Oh, thanks, okay. Minister. Yeah, quite young also. Thank you. So at least we get that out of the way, right? So we know which vaccinations we need to take, and we hear it from the health minister himself about what are the next steps to take in protecting some of the vulnerable communities. So in line with the theme for today, Ready for Life, Minister Ong, tell us, what does it mean to live a life of purpose? What does that mean to you?
For me, a few things matter to me. I would say it boils down to three. In Chinese Confucius have a saying, right?
我听得懂，可以，可以。
About, I'll translate to English. When you're 15, you must want to learn. 十有五志于学. At 30, you must be independent. 30而立. At 40, you must be free from temptation. In our current context, means free from scams as well. Anything too good to be true is probably false. Confucius said so, no? 40而不惑. Then at 50, you should know your purpose in life. And 50知天命. That's where I am now.
Yes.
So I would say at this stage in life, what is my purpose in life?
What's
I would
important
say,
to you?
My family. That's absolutely most important. Second, in my work, I like to be of some use to people, able to do things that's useful to other people. And lastly, my own health. Yeah.
So family, purposeful work, and good health. Before I move on to the next question, a very quick one. Was there anything you wish you could have done when you were younger?
I would rather say, is there anything I wish I did not do?
Yeah, okay.
When I was younger, I should play a little less football.
Why? Why so?
Because I'm suffering from the injuries now. When I was younger, in my 40s, I probably played my best football.
In your 40s?
In my 40s, yeah. So don't write off Cristiano Ronaldo. In my 40s, I was in NTUC at that time, and every weekend we just gather around Bukit Merah Secondary School. You don't know who will come. People who live around the estate, they will come down, and then we'll just play with strangers. But the pitch wasn't so great. It's a feedback for MOE. And week in, week out, we play, and over time, I think I really enjoy myself. And when the knee is injured, the back is injured, the other knee got injured. So today I don't run anymore. I can cycle, I can swim.
So still keeping very active?
still keeping active, but things that I love to do, soccer, running, marathons, I used to do that. We can't do that anymore. So whatever you do now when you are young has an implication when you are old. And so at that time, nobody told me that. I didn't learn about all this. So likewise, beyond health, for your career, for your finances, whatever you do when you are young has implications when you are old. But when you are old and you suffer the implications or you feel the implications, it's too late to unwind. Yeah. So that's something that I wish I would not have done so much. Yeah.
Some wise words of advice there.
Score a few less goals, it's fine. You know?
And it's okay, as long as your knees are good, right? But you found alternatives to keeping active, so cycling and swimming, instead of
yes,
just
yes.
soccer and marathon running.
So that's the other lesson, that if you have done something when you're young and you're now bearing the consequences, be flexible. There are always plan B, plan C. There is a backstop, there is safety net that can fall back on, and be prepared to move on. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, Minister. So before we get to the financial aspects of things, because Minister did say that when we talk about planning early, finances also come into play. But I want to talk about health first. So some of you who may follow Minister Ong on TikTok, you know that he's very active there. You share a lot of health tips and some life hacks too. Very entertaining channel, I must say, account. And in one of these videos, you did say that while we can't change our biological age, we can take steps to prolong our active years by first taking care of our health and our mind. So any tips for our audience today and how we can lead active, more healthier, fulfilling lifestyles as we age?
I see in the audience individuals of different ages. So it's difficult to generalize, you know. So I would say if you are young and you're a go-getter, you're still studying, you're still looking for your career, my advice too, even since I was a minister for education, is that a healthy thing to do is to do things that you like. Yeah. So if you have something you're passionate about, you are in a career that you feel strongly about, that's a big blessing. But that applies only to 1 in 10 youngsters. 9 in 10 youngsters, including me when I was young, actually got no idea what we want to do. If my teacher or my mentor say, do what you're passionate in, I would say, I don't know what I'm passionate in, you know. Yeah. So for us, for the majority of us, and if you're a young person, often it's about making the best out of what you have in front of you. Yeah. If you are in this course, make the best of that course. If you're in this company, make the best of the company. If you have this boss, make the best
you
of it.
You don't like. Then how? Make the best of it.
Make the best of it. Until you reach a stage where you say, this is really horrible, then make a change.
So that's why you have to be flexible, right?
But even when you make a change such that you make use of whatever you have learned. Even if you suffer under a bad boss, in your next assignment, you know what you have gone through, right? Yeah.
You become steelier. So that's for those who are still having a very long career paths ahead. How about for the audience who may be on a different age tier and looking at different phases of life? Any tips?
I wouldn't over-medicalize my advice. I think for people middle age up to maybe my age in our 50s, we need to invest in our health, start taking care of your health, start investing in relationships, and that means your family, your friends, make a point to meet up. Start investing in hobbies, in things that you like to do, things that you can do alone, things that you can do with friends. Whether you want to play mahjong, play bridge, play video games have the limit, and sports, whatever. Because all these relationships will carry you to old age. And then that brings me to the older group. Then if in the older group, it's very important to stay active. We worry about diseases when we are old, but actually worry about health, worry about how I build health. And a lot about, and building health is really about your living environment. Whether you continue to stimulate your mind to learn, whether you have friends you can talk to, whether you can still be of use and of help to other people. These are the things that give you spirit and give you life and give you health and build health. By the time you are sick with 3 highs, with HDL, with DHL rather, diabetes, hypertension, hyperlipidemia, we call it DHL, is a bit too late. Yeah. So while it's not too late, build your health. Build your health. Yeah.
This is the first time DHL has new meaning for me. Yeah, it's not that my package has
sorry,
arrived
is that
on
DHL
time.
representative
No.
here? Change to HDL or LDH.
You hear it here first from the health minister. Okay, but Minister Ong, how important is it then, financial wellness, how critical is this factor for us to have that so that we can have a better retirement?
Many people may not know this. The Minister for Health in Singapore is also the Minister for Aging. Yeah. It's actually in the law, The Minister for Aging shall be the Minister for Health. It started with Minister Gan Kim Yong, and now I'm the Minister for Aging. So aging, there are various aspects. Of course, the healthcare and health system is one major aspect. The other is really the financial aspect. Yeah. And they're all related. Yeah. You are financially not sound and not in strong footing. It does affect your physical health. It does affect your emotional health. So like the first lesson, the first sharing that I gave just now, whatever we do when we are young have implications when we are old. This is the same for financial planning and your retirement planning. We do need to start young. I know it's too much to ask for a young person just stepping out into the working world, discovering your passion, making the best out of your boss, and sometimes it's too much to ask for. But I think at some point, when you're a bit more stable in your career, when you settle down or you have your own place, you have to start thinking about what do I do when I'm older? And retirement adequacy in the aging population like us is quite a significant issue. Yeah, we can talk more about it, but I think for the government, we can only take care of some basics. The rest is really up to each of us to plan. What is the basics for government?
CPF.
Yeah, CPF. And then because people are living longer, we change to CPF Life. Yeah, that means so long as you live, you get a payout from CPF, regardless of your balance, because CPF pull everything together. So it's your CPF Life to give you that basic payment up to the point when we passed away. And then the next level is actually housing policy. We may not realize this, but most of us spend a great amount of our savings in our homes. And Singapore has a major public housing policy. Over 80% of our population live in HDB, subsidized from market rate. And then we put resources in, and then it appreciates over time. And most of us, frankly, if we buy our first BTO at 30 years old, when we retire at 65 or so, we still got a good 60 years left, 60 plus years left in the HDB flat, which we also have schemes for you to monetize. Selling back the lease, downsizing, rental, and so on. So CPF plus housing, I think, can give us a bit of a good nest egg. And if it's still not enough, there's a silver support scheme, right, to top up the retirement adequacy for people who are lower income. So that's what government do. I can think about these three being the main policies to provide a basic safety net, but the rest still have to be up to us. And the question to ask really, and I would recommend asking this maybe when in your 30s, is to ask when I am old and retired, what do I imagine my life to be like? And start from there.
So what do you imagine your life to be like when you're old and retired? What are your retirement plans, Minister Ong? Tell us.
It's a good question. Huh?
Yeah.
I should think about it.
Have you made steps to invest towards your retirement? And what do you imagine?
We have. No, we are lucky. We are lucky. I think we will have enough for retirement. But I think, therefore, for me, it's more thinking about when I'm old, I want to be healthy. And I want to have good relationships with my wife, with my children, and we can spend more time together that we couldn't do today. So for me, it's about really making up for all the things that I can't do at this stage of my life. I hope to have the health and fortune to be able to do them when I'm older. But everyone have their different goals. Yeah, and I won't prescribe mine for everybody. Yeah.
That's a very clear goal that you have. But earlier in this conversation, you did mention that many of the younger population, when asked, why haven't you started planning for retirement? Typical responses, like you said, it's too early. I don't have the time. That's a common one. And a third common response was, I don't have the money to start planning for retirement. Now, what would you have to say to that? Okay. And before you answer, there was a survey that was done by Money Sense. It was the National Financial Capability Survey in 2021. And it showed that over half of the Singaporean respondents also say they haven't started planning for retirement. The common response again given was, I don't know how or where to start. So given that we have the Minister for Health in the hot seat, also Minister for Aging, tell us practical steps to take. Start when, how, where?
Although I'm not the Minister for Financial Literacy,
Minister Wong, where are you?
I would just say that is why we have forced saving schemes. We have public housing schemes that I think many Singaporeans do not realize. When you apply for a BTO, you are planning for your retirement. Yeah, and government has come up with this scheme to make it attractive. And so many people apply for BTO. But once you apply for BTO, you get it in your 30s, as I mentioned. When you retire, you got 60 years lease left. That's your nest egg. Yeah, and your employee, everyone contribute to your CPF. That's planning for retirement already. And we have to do this because not everyone will be ready or have the state of mind to start thinking about retirement. So these schemes are there. We are all part of it, and it's all part of our retirement. But we can only encourage. It's not something we can mandate by law, by regulations, to start thinking, starting with the question, how do I imagine myself when you're old? And if saving up, we're going to publish a guideline, right? The committee have come up with a guideline, invest 10% of your pay, invest and compound. I think it's useful to start learning about these basic concepts.
How early is early?
Primary school.
Okay,
because,
yeah, that's early, yes.
Yeah, because in primary school, you already start learning multiplication. In secondary school, you learn compound interest. You learn how to compound interest rate. So we have the basic literacy. Singapore, actually, we underestimate our own ability. We are very numerate society. Our mathematics standard is very high in the world. No? Most of us have no problem understanding interest rate. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, and no problem. Most of us will understand. You borrow from the Tai Long, you're in trouble because they charge you 20% per month. Next month, 20% upon the 20%. That's called compounding interest. So even if we don't know from the Tai Long example, everybody understands compounding interest. And so understand some of this basic concept, compounding interest. Start investing when you're young. Let the interest compound. When you're old, that little bit that you put in when you're young suddenly become a very nice nest egg, right? And so these are some of the basics that I think you can start thinking about for yourself. That's one aspect. Start putting aside some money beyond CPF if you can, and let it compound. Let it compound. Second is start looking at insurance. Insurance is important for all of us, but don't over-insure. Buy things that you don't need. Yeah? I share an example in MOH. We have, the insurance representatives are here. Sorry if I... if I am a wet blanket. But this is what we observe in MOH. So many people, great majority of our population are already, actually all of us are covered by MediShield Life. So that if we ever fall sick, we need an operation, we go to a Class C or B2 ward, we are quite well covered. 9 in 10 of our bills are covered by MediShield Life. If we go for C class or B2. But if you want anything beyond that, you want A class, you want private hospital, you buy integrated plan, IP. You want even more, you buy a rider. Yeah. So a lot of people buy IP, a lot of people buy rider, but when we see that they need surgery, they go back to C-class ward. Right? So why did you even buy IP and rider? Yeah. So think about what you really need, what are you buying, and buy what you need that suit your purpose.
Needs basis. When did you start saving for retirement then, may I ask? Like you say early is early.
I'm very fortunate when I was disrupted, when I went to university, I got a scholarship. So my mother, who was a teacher, was actually saving up. she was saving up, but what she really did was ask my father to give her money, and then she saved up for me, and hoping that she save up a university fund for me and my brother to go to university. So as she saved up and I got a scholarship, she didn't need to use those funds. So those become my savings. Yeah. So my parents helped me a great deal. So by the time I graduate, plus I save my own allowances from the PSC. I also work as a student. So I save up enough. So when I started work and then got married, I could pay the down payment for our first home. Yeah. So that's, I suppose, when I first started saving up.
That's wonderful. So you had really good saving habits, prudent saving habits, kind of instilled since you were young. And when did you say that guideline was being rolled out again? Because I would love for my kids to also start reading it since they're primary school.
Today, yeah? Yeah, they're
Today.
rolling out today. Is
Excellent.
it available online? Available
That's right.
online.
You heard it here first. Yes. Thank you, Minister. Because I would have to say, I never started retirement saving until I became a mom and at my first child. And then it was, well, you know, the forced CPF savings is great when you start working, but after you become a mother, you're like, wow, children, expensive. Better start retirement savings. So that was me a couple of years ago.
So a good thing to do for your, I don't know how old are your children? Are they quite?
Oh, 7 and 8. So they're in
okay,
primary
so they
school,
are quite
yeah.
young.
Yeah.
They're in primary school. So at some point, maybe when they're upper primary, you have to start instilling some financial discipline in them. I personally find a good idea is to give them monthly allowance. If you're
Monthly?
if you're very brave, term allowance, whole term, 3 months.
I was thinking daily allowance or...
Yeah, you have to move away from that.
Okay.
I know it's difficult,
Yeah.
but I've been through that. My children were 1, 7, and 8 before.
So you went from daily to weekly to monthly?
You will start with daily, right?
Okay.
Then you got to go weekly and at some point go monthly so that there's a sum of money. Then they suddenly realize, oh, I need to apply my mathematics, no? If I get $30 a month, how much do I have a day? Therefore, how much do I have to spend? And they therefore have to start calculating and understand budget. Financial literacy, I suppose, looking back at the question you asked me, start from spending habits. When you overspend, no financial planning can save you.
It's a matter of discipline as well, right? Staying
when
on
you can
course.
spend within your means and able to set aside some money, that's the start of financial planning, and you may have a much better chance of having a good retirement.
Yeah. I'm going to start, do a better job today. And with my children too, right? After this conversation with
The
Minister.
8-year-old might be ready. Move him to her or him or her to
Term allowance?
Term allowance,
wow,
yes.
that's hardcore, super hardcore. So you talked to us about your retirement plans already, but are there any other things you want to tick off on your retirement bucket list? Maybe the top 2. Once you're done with public service, what would it be?
I'd like to spend more time with my wife.
Wow. Is she here today? Well, this is recorded, right?
And
And the next one?
hopefully at some point attend the weddings of my children.
Aw, that's so nice. Thank you, Minister. And last question. When you think of ready for life, is there one piece of advice that you would like to leave for our audience members today before I let you go?
Every event I go today, I have been saying the same thing. So when you ask me this, it just pops out. And the advice will be less sugar, less sodium, more exercise,
Less sugar, less sodium, more exercise. All right. Thank you so much, Minister Ong. Thank you. I really enjoyed that fireside chat. Ladies and gentlemen, Minister Ong Kang. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed that fireside chat as much as I did. That was all the time we had with Minister, but we are really pleased that he was able to join us this morning to kick off the Ready for Life Festival. So still staying on the theme of living a life with purpose and being prepared for what's to come, we're going to move to the next segment of our program where we have a very exciting panel discussion lined up for you. But before I introduce my speakers, I want to let you know that this panel discussion will be followed by a Q&A segment. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We want you to participate in this conversation. So if I could ask you to take out your phones later on and to scan the QR code. That's right, we're going to flash it on screen now. Just scan this QR code It will take you to Mentimeter, and you can leave us your questions and your comments. We would love to hear from you, and we hope to get to your questions as soon as we can. Okay, so let me introduce who will be coming on stage in just a little bit. For this next segment, we will be joined by Mr. Gregory Chia. He's the Group Director of CPF Board. And then we have Professor Christopher Cheng, who's a Senior Consultant Urologist at Sengkang General Hospital and the Singapore General Hospital. And then we also have Mr. Alfred Chia, who is the CEO of SingCapital Private Limited, and Mr. Chong, who is the founder of Be Amazed Garden. And as you can see on the board there, our speakers come from very diverse backgrounds. They're equipped with very different set of skills, but they can definitely provide us with some invaluable advice today on how we can better prepare for a fulfilling retirement ahead. So, ladies and gentlemen, will you join me now in welcoming our speakers, Alfred, Gregory, Chris, and John. Welcome, gentlemen. Welcome, welcome. Alfred, Chris, hi, Greg. Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you once again for spending Saturday morning with us. So in line with our theme, Ready for Life, I want to kick off this segment with a question to Chris first. Chris has been a doctor for over 30 years, and in that time, he's also authored a book titled I Thought I Knew, From Professor to Patient, where he was actually diagnosed with advanced prostate cancer, but lived to tell the tale. So, Chris, could you tell us what it means for you to live a fulfilling life without regrets?
I'll answer the same question that you posed to Minister, who so elegantly, I think, outlined
living a life of purpose.
Living a purpose, and the things that I wish I didn't do so much, and the things that I wish I have done, but no regret, right? So the title of the book is I Thought I Knew. So really, I'm still looking for the answer. So let me just share that don't do what I did, which is always postponing my dental appointment, my eye appointment, and my whatever appointment, and live and said, okay, when I reach 60, I shall do this. So that was a bit late. Yeah. So I'm just like Minister. I wish I didn't do so much of chasing all the daily goals and spend some time planning for my own health, for my own social needs, and for my own medical needs. And so I think that this is a very good session. I really like the title, Ready for Life, starting today. Thanks, Joanne.
Yeah, thank you for that, Chris. I mean, now that you have also recovered from cancer, what are you doing to lead a more purposeful life? I did go for my dental just yesterday, by the way. Yeah, that's something that I'm really diligent on, dental twice a year.
You're doing very well.
Thank you.
Very good answers, extracting from the Minister. And so, we do the term.
Health checkup also, yes.
Yes. And eye, hearing, everything, right? Good. So I think that what I would do, is that a question?
What are you doing now to, you've come back from the brink of almost of death, right? And how are you change things?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's actually more of the same, except that I really wake up every morning with a purpose. I know what are the things that I like to do, and I am very grateful to be able to do them. I just told Ying Yi, my former health PS, I said that, at 66, I have to thank the patients who want to come and see me. And if I can make them smile before they leave the clinic, I will tell them that, look, I would pay you to come and see me because it is so fulfilling. I can skip my lunch, delay my toilet breaks, and I go home very tired, but feeling that I have done some value add to people. Yeah, so I take care of my health, just like minister. I used to run marathons. I can't do that anymore because of my back. So I'm cycling. I'm doing other exercise every day.
Still being flexible and adaptive, finding other ways to stay healthy, right? But really nice, heartwarming sharing there. Thank you, Chris. So let me come to John. John, you are officially the first beekeeper that I've ever met, and who is so friendly and who does not have any stings that I can see. Tell us, I mean, you beekeep every day, right? How does that add meaning and significance to your life, John?
Okay, I think there's so many things we could learn from the bees, all right? First of all, bees, they cherish whatever little they have. For example, when they go out to collect the pollen and nectar, they're only so tiny, they don't complain, but they go out and collect this pollen and nectar. And then they add value to the nectar to turn it into honey. And after adding value to it, they multiply it. And then after that, they share. So I apply this, you see, bees, they're also very good collectors and good savers. For example, they collect water for their own needs. So we have our own needs. And then they also collect pollen. Pollen is for the needs of the family, for the brood, to provide proteins for the brood. Then they got the baby bees and grow up. And then they collect nectar. Nectar converted to honey, which they use for themselves and for the next generation of bees. And they also collect the fourth thing, they collect propolis. Propolis is a very good sanitizer. They sanitize the honeycombs. So this is like for the community. See, it's just a whole society. Individual needs,
Ecosystem.
family needs, the needs of others, and the needs of community. So I use bees. I do beekeeping not for production of honey. Right now, not possible yet. I hope to produce the first Singaporean to produce Singapore honey, but not yet now. But then you look at the life application from the bees, right? So I'm so intrigued. I'm so motivated to learn more from the bees and how they can apply to life application. And yeah, so and just I basically I was an educator. All right, I wanted to spend my whole being a civil servant. I spent 37 years with MOE, Ministry of Education, from being a beginning teacher to a vice principal. And then I wanted to be a lawyer civil servant until I retired at the official retirement age of 62 at that time. But 7 years ago, when I got encountered with some bees in Penang, and then it changed my life. And then as an educator, as an encourager, I thought, wow, I came up with so many curriculum and syllabuses in my mind. Wow, what I could do with bees. And that's how BMS got started 7 years ago.
That is such an amazing story, because when I come across bees, I go the other way. Yeah. So you see, this John's experience in sharing for bees, it's really enlightening. And I'm going to come back to you in just a little bit. But I want to circle to Gregory now. What is your definition of living a life with purpose? And how do you go about preparing for it, Gregory?
I think I resonate a lot with what Chris and John shared about the purpose. I think for me, a fulfilling life is one where you can really find the joy in making a positive difference to other people, right? And these other people can be anyone. It can be people that are very close to you, around you. It can be your family, it can be your neighbors, your colleagues, and the people that you serve as a part of your work. But in order to be able to have that freedom to make that difference, right? I think what John said also resonated with me. The bee is the first thing about collecting water for themselves. It's about taking care of the basics for yourself, right? Like, it's a bit how like when you go to on an airplane, they will tell the parents that in case of emergency, put on your oxygen mask first before you do it for your kids. So similarly, it's about taking care of the basics for yourself. And when I talk about basics, it's what like Minister Ong talked about. It's about health, right? It's about your physical health. It's about your mental health, as well as about your financial health. And when it comes to financial health, to me, the way to have more financial health is to do less. And by less, I mean learn, earn, save, and then spend. So basically, keep learning, right? Keep learning so that you will always be assured of having a job and then you can keep earning. And as you earn, save some of that for the future needs, and then you can spend freely on what brings you purpose, brings you meaning in life. And this is somewhat where CPF also can come in, because CPF helps you to automatically save as you earn, right? Basically, you don't need to think about it, it automatically saves. But many people actually take a step further. They top up. They come forward and top up their CPF and through regular top-ups. And this helps them to reach their retirement goals faster. And in doing so, they then have the freedom and the kind of mental bandwidth to think about what else they want to do that gives them meaning in life.
Okay, LESS. Do you remember what it stands for? It's a new acronym again. So I see people in the audience who are nodding. It stands for very good, learn, earn. Hey, only this side. That side never pay attention, right? Earn, save. And the last one. Nice. See, we can still spend if we save. So DHL and LESS, okay? When we leave this ballroom today, we will have completely different meanings to us. Thank you for that, Greg. And ladies and gentlemen, you now know during the Q&A, any CPF questions, who to ask, okay? But I will let you know when the Q&A segment is open. Let me come then to Alfred. Thank you for your patience, Alfred. So in your line of work, what would you say are the top priorities when it comes to retirement planning? And you also spend a lot of time, giving out financial advice to many clients. Are there any relevant stories that you could share with our audience today, Alfred?
Oh yes, good morning. So definitely we have a lot of stories. As a financial advisor, we always advise clients to actually use CPF as a foundation of financial planning, because that is a very important and it's a low-hanging fruit. Of course, if you are employees, every month you have the CPF contributions, but the self-employed are the ones that I would urge them to really consider to use a voluntary CPF top-up. But I don't mean to add on to any more acronyms, but I also have a definition for LESS.
We like 3, right? In Singapore, everything, people remember top of mind recall is always 3 points. So you can add on to the third one.
Okay.
Go.
So that I will reduce 4 points on. We go to 3, which I always amplify what CPF board says, right? Everyone have different way of lifestyle, financial situations, but I'm just amazed, because I always find people spend more time planning for their travel than retirement planning.
I'm
But
guilty
today,
as charged.
you have proven otherwise. Hey, people came here, right, on a Saturday, and they actually spend a lot more time.
By being here, it's already testament that you want to take a step to plan for a better retirement, right?
And
So
sign up
kudos
for
to
CPF
everybody in
Life.
our audience. Yeah.
And so, which is why I think CPF board and Money Sense can be natas. No, maybe next time we can actually have different booths to talk about, retirement, after what you can do, rather than you can go to Japan, Korea, or whatever. Sorry, I distract.
More booths outside after this, by the way.
Yeah. So amplifying what CPF board always says, when you turn 65, make sure your housing loan is fully paid up. Actually, you think about it, for HDB loan, they actually mandate that your repayment term maximum is 25 years, up to 65. So if you can just follow the policies, 65 years old, your loan should pay up. But if you can, try to pay up earlier. How about challenging yourself? Can I pay up at 55 or 60? And then you have more money to actually put inside the CPF to accumulate. And then now, of course, you have T-bills. Right? So this is another very good savings, or Singapore savings bonds. So the second one, of course, if you fall sick, you want to be able to be hospitalized. Then you have the MediShield Life, which actually is really very adequate for many of us. But of course, if you want a higher standard, then you must be prepared to pay more premium. But estimation by us, if you are going for IP plus riders from age 55, and if you survive up to 90 years old, your premium just for IP plan and riders could be more than $300,000. Which is already more than the CPF full retirement sum. But if not, then a MediShield Life would be good enough. So if you want a higher standard of medical care, then when you do retirement planning, this is another portion you need to factor in. Then, of course, when you retire, you want to have lifelong income, which is what Minister and Gregory has mentioned about CPF Life. And I'm just amazed that a lot of CPF members are unfamiliar with CPF Life. When I share with our clients that CPF Life pay you for life, they say, sure or not, got such good things. Really? This one you can get from CPF one. So CPF Life, when you turn 55, you have to fulfill your retirement sum. So you have basic, full, or enhanced. I encourage everyone to go for enhanced if you can, right? Because you enhance retirement sum, you also enhance your spouse relationship. They trust you more because your money are all in CPF. Then at age 65, you will start collect CPF Life. And that also motivates you. You know why? It's a very good motivation for you to stay healthy. You want to live as long as you can so that you can draw as much money from CPF board. Make your money worth it. So 3 points.
I see a lot of happy faces in the audience. Thank you for those 3 points, Alfred. And I also never thought I would come to a retirement or a retirement planning seminar and get some relationship advice also. But thank you for that. So as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, very varied advice here on how we can lead a more fulfilling retirement. And I would say that finding one's passion is just as important, right? When we're able to pursue our interests. But first, having the financial freedom to pursue our interests also means being able to do things that really interest us, excite us, and gives us a big sense of accomplishment. So before we delve into more of the monetary matters, I want to come back to Chris and then John, because these gentlemen seem to have found their fervent passions in life I wouldn't say pretty late in the game, but a little bit later on. So let me come back to Chris, because he is also a very avid watercolorist, and we know that you hold charity art exhibitions to raise funds for the needy. How did you develop this new hobby, this passion, and why watercolor painting?
Thanks, Darren. So who has not signed up for CPF Life, please do so. Otherwise, will be disappointed. But to answer your question, I always dabble with painting since young. Never really had a chance to find a teacher until about 10 years ago. I just chanced upon one of the award-winning watercolorists, Ong Kim Sing. So we go out, like tomorrow morning, we're going out to Asian Civilization Museum to paint. And it became a regular affair. It is both curiosity and learning new skills, as well as a social thing, because often after painting we go and makan, and exchange stories. And I think it's very important that we do something that can replace the intensity of our daily work when we retire, and we have to do it ahead of time. So I'm very grateful that even though my painting is not very good, I was, a CEO of Sengkang for a while, and instead of buying birthday cards and greeting cards, Christmas card, I gave them sometimes one of my paintings. Anyway, I don't have enough place to store them, right? They say, hey, oh wow, this one is from CEO. It's worth something. So it kind of inflated the value. The market value is never quite there. And next week, they are auctioning one of my paintings in one of the 50th anniversary celebrations. And of course, I will go and put in my fake bid to inflate the value even more. No, I'm kidding. But, the passion needs to have an outlet. So whether you bake a cake and you see the glowing eyes when, your audience appreciate the creation, is a satisfaction and it's a connection with people. So having a passion to replace your daily work, because when you retire, we underestimate the value of going to work, meeting young people, stimulating your cognition, learning new things, and it's a very social experience. So, Minister, start building your relationship. You can build your relationship through some of these hobbies.
Excuse me, another really poignant story to share there. Thank you, Chris. And then swinging back to John, how old were you when you discovered your passion for beekeeping?
Oh, when I was 57.
Wow. And how I know you have this love affair with bees now. And how did it develop into a hobby, to a passion? And, any advice for members of the audience who are still trying to identify and pursue a passion?
Actually, when I pursue beekeeping, it's not to be a hobby. It's supposed to be my second career. All right, because I find bees could so much value add in so many aspects, right? First of all, of course, we know bees make honey, and I wanted to be a honey producer, so I started a company in Myanmar, right? But then the moment I started a company, very soon later it failed. That's why my friends told me I was crazy to leave MOE with a secure job. With MOE, when I left it, they say I was crazy to leave at that age. And I was no longer young, right, at the age of 57. But then I had no regrets. As a result of that failure, Be Amazed Garden was born. And now Be Amazed Garden, it gave me so much satisfaction to see so many people, so many lives get transformed. So as a parent, we like our children. For example, I have own 2 kids. I have a son and a daughter. We want our kids to be successful. We want our kids to be entrepreneurial. We want our kids to be the best they can be. So I hope to be an example for my own children, and then so that they can have this entrepreneurial spirit and to be the best they can be. And then if I could ask the audience, how many of you are parents? You want your children to be successful? You want your children to be entrepreneurial? I think we can learn from the bees. And if those of you are educated, you want your students to be hardworking, and also to be those who are employers, you want your staff to be productive. All this we can learn from the bees. So when I look at the behavior of bees, how it could benefit all of us if we could learn to have the values from the bees. Yeah.
Any advice on how to be queen bee?
Okay, I think the queen bee has only one job, just only lay eggs. Okay.
Okay, so don't want to be queen bee lab.
Yeah,
Better
but
be more productive in other ways.
But then the bees, if you want to learn from the bees, bees learn from the women power, because the worker bees are all female, and they do all the work and they make all the decision. So all the women here,
yes,
women
you see
power,
all the women
right?
power, yeah, Mrs. Ong. Women make all the decisions.
Yes, they make all the decision, not the queen bee. The queen bee just only lay eggs.
Oh, okay, change that then. Yeah. Well, don't bother being the queen bee, okay? Okay, that's my takeaway from today. Thank you, John. That was really nice. So let's come back to the financial aspects of things, because we know that financial literacy is crucial. And why is that so? We gotta have a solid financial foundation to be able to have the peace of mind and the freedom, right, to pursue what Chris and John are doing, such that even when the business fails, he has enough stored to bounce back from that and find other alternatives or to continue with the business. So coming back again to Alfred and then Greg, just to chime in here, financial planning 101. Where to get started, how, and what's the best way to start on your retirement saving plan? Alfred?
Definitely you have to start as early as possible. I think everyone understands that, but sometimes it's about the different life situations. As by example, you may need to care for your parents, or you have some family members that are ill and they do not have insurance. So these are the things that will actually throw your whole financial plan into disarray. So again, you can leverage on the CPF. That's a very important component. But for the employees, a lot of times, we contribute to CPF, but maybe we have also used the CPF too much into property. Now, property definitely is a very good asset class in Singapore, because as long as Singapore economy grow, our property will increase in value. And of course, or inflation or this. But I think it's important to strike a balance. For example, recently I came across a case, a couple in their 60s, right? They actually have private properties. And the private properties, at 60 plus, I mentioned just now, to pay off your loan at 65. But at early 60s, they still have an outstanding loan from the private properties of $1 million. And the reason why they had that is because they wanted to send their children to overseas. Okay, so of course, their children wasn't able to get scholarship, So this one, no choice. Parents need to come out money, and they did not do any planning. So what they did is that because they thought I have a property, so this is my best asset, I went to take more loan using the property as a pledge. So when they are 60 plus, and they did not make any other plans, such as Chris or John, they did not have a second career. And they just rely on their property. And because a lot of their money and CPF goes into the property value, and because they actually leverage on it, right? Because they took money and actually gave their children for overseas studies, at early 60s, they are right with debt. So how to actually get out of this? So this is a financial plans that you really need to look into it. I mean, of course, these are the cases that we are still working on, but hopefully from these case studies, right, we can actually prompt everyone to say, hey, if I do not want to get into this stage, I better start planning now. Whether you are 30, whether you are 45, but the fact that you come for this event, I think you are very serious to say, how do I get going? And after you find some strategies, some plans, right, you should actually go and spread it out, share with your friends, your relatives, to actually advise them to how to do it. So which is why I really applaud CPF board and Money Sense for organizing all this, because it's not an easy things to organize so that we can spread more things. But there are only today a few 100,000 people. It's important that you spread this one. And of course, I wish I have more time, but start as early as you can for the financial plan.
It's never too late. Start now. Thank you, Alfred. And because we have Greg from CPF Board here, I would love for you to just elaborate further on CPF Life, because it seems like such a good scheme to leverage on so that we can better organize our retirement plan. So Greg, if you please.
Yeah, so I think if we take a step back and we think about retirement planning, what is the greatest challenge in terms of kind of planning on how much you need to save for retirement? And I think it's the fact that actually you don't know how long your savings need to stretch for. And that's because none of us know exactly when we are going to pass on. So it's a bit like running a race and not knowing where the finish line is, right? If you don't know whether you're running 2.4 or running 10K or running a full marathon, you don't really know how to pace yourself. And so that's one of the challenges when it comes to retirement planning. How long does your money need to last? We can look at the statistics, the average life expectancies. We know that for people turning 65, 1 in 2 are going to live beyond 85, 1 in 3 are going to live beyond 90, and as medical advances continue, more and more people are going to live beyond that, right? Some living to 100 and beyond. And so that creates some uncertainty among the retirees, that they feel like even as a retiree, they need to save, right? But that's where CPF Life comes in. Because CPF Life, as I think Alfred and Chris have shared, it gives you basically that income for life, right? You don't have to worry about outliving your savings anymore. And because of that, you have that kind of freedom to spend. As the money comes in, you have freedom to spend as you like on the things that you think matter at this point of their life.
Hello. Sorry, just checking whether you're paying attention. Okay. I would say that less acronym really comes in here, right? You learn, earn, and then you save, and then you have more to spend. But as with all things, I think change is the only constant. So just as we've seen economic cycles, the vagaries of economic cycles go up and down, financial trends have also changed. And I want to circle back to Alfred to see if there are any financial trends that have become more pertinent in recent years that you would like to share with our audience today as well.
Maybe I share with the mistake or the pitfall you should avoid. Earlier I talked about travel planning. I think many people have traveled, especially after the COVID. Some travel with revenge. And in the past, we have seen so many customers of ours that actually got into credit card debt because of all this advanced enjoyment. So credit card debt, I mean, the interest is 25, 26% per annum. And like what Minister Ong say, compounding effect. We have even come across customers who can chalk up 300,000 to 500,000 credit card debt. I mean, I was normally very shocked when I hear this, but sometimes I also become quite impressed. I mean, it's not easy, like, you try, it's like carrying a HDB on you. But the kind of burden is also very, very stressful. Right? So therefore, it's really important to say, hey, how can I organize my finances, my financial management? So because I know Money Sense is announcing today some basic financial planning, right? So check out their website so that what are the things you can do, right? Because we do advise clients on different ways of financial management. So my financial management is very important. Then, of course, you have the CPF Life, right, which is a lifelong income. But how about the other way? Now that you have CPF Life as a foundation, how can you add on to that? Because when we talk about retirements, we are not talking about retire from enjoyment. So how can we have actually a more fulfilling life, right? Like John, maybe doing something other hobby that could actually enrich more, but he definitely need to have certain financial stability before he can actually pursue his dream. So beside the CPF Life, how can you actually, using your working careers, save up more money so that you can start to enjoy when you are able to retire? And always remember, CPF Life is a motivation to stay healthy because you want to get as long as payment as possible.
Thank you, Alfred. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to the Q&A now. So I would like to bring up the QR code on screen once again for those of you who have not had a chance to scan it and to send in some of your questions. And we already have quite a few in there. So let me come to this one first. How do I know if I have enough health insurance coverage and that I'm not overinsured? Are there some kind of OB markers that I should be looking out for, Alfred or Gregory? Alfred.
Actually, if you are happy with B2 and C ward, MediShield Life really can cover a lot of things. But it's just that, in life, there are so many different kind of things, right? I mean, for example, we have a client, she's very prudent when she buy the medical insurance, right? So she buy an IP plan, but she did not go for the A plan. She also just go for the restructured hospital plan. She did not take on riders. But unfortunately, she got breast cancer. And she's only comfortable with certain oncologists at a private hospital. Then that is where she need to go and see this doctor. And this doctor say, I can only operate in a private hospital because I cannot because of you. Then I discard my other patients. So because of that, her shield plans was not able to cover the differences. So therefore, there's a lot of funds that actually come about. So again, if you want to cover for this kind of unforeseen circumstances, take on the critical illness as a backup. Okay. But other than that, MediShield Life definitely is enough. But if you want the higher standard, then you must be prepared to pay more for it. Yeah. So don't worry. Actually, for Singaporeans, we are all covered, and it covers pre-existing illness.
Good to know. Thanks, Alfred. Another question now for Chris.
So maybe
Greg, do you want to add on first?
Add to that. I mean, just a couple of points to add. I think maybe just to give a sense of what the typical behavior of Singaporeans is, right? I think if you look at the statistics, about 7 in 10 of Singaporeans actually choose to go to B2C when they get warded. And this is even if they may have private insurance, A-class insurance and all. And so that's something that I think you need to factor in terms of how much coverage you need, right? Where do you think you will end up when you want to go get warded? The second point is that I think it doesn't remain static, right? Your needs and what is the appropriate cover can change as you age. The premiums of the private insurance are reasonably okay when you're young, but it shoots up substantially as you age. So you may want to kind of have that regular review of what your insurance coverage is and whether you still need it in the later stages of your life.
Great advice there. Chris?
Thank you. Can I just make a comment?
Yes, of course.
This is not to butter up my best permanent secretary in Healthy and Yi sitting there. Actually, this scenario of B2C public hospital not enough is a myth. Because actually we can be very grateful and very proud to be Singaporean that actually any conditions, breast included, you walk into any public hospital today, you will be given world-class treatment. What is not covered is the even more extreme, experimental maybe, treatment. Meaning that you will get a breast center, multidisciplinary approach, discussion, you have the best support systems, and even those exoteric drugs, there is also MAS support. Not 100%, but probably better than most part of the world already. So rest assured, your B2C treatment is world-class.
Thank you, Chris. Yes, so good to know. I'm so proud to be Singaporean also. Mostly Singaporeans in our midst today, right? Yeah. So there's a question here for you, Chris. How can one prevent prostate cancer, and does cranberry juice help?
Join the queen bee and then you won't have prostate cancer. Prostate cancer is a man's disease. Well, unfortunately, we just saw the latest statistics. It used to be lung, then it became colorectal cancer, and prostate cancer from number 3 has now become number 1 for men in Singapore. But the part of it is because of health screening and early detection, and some of them may or may not need treatment. But the number of people dying of prostate cancer as we become a super aging society currently is standing at 3rd. So it is a serious threat. Even though MOH and we still consistently say that testing, screening for prostate cancer, unlike breast, is not a recommended screening because it can lead to a lot of overdiagnosis and overtreatment. So the only way to prevent prostate cancer is to join my namesake Cheng Ho, Zhen He. He's a unit. You won't get prostate cancer. But healthy living, proper diet and exercise put you in a good state if you ever need to have diagnosis or treatment for prostate cancer. So I told my doctors that look after me, I said when I cycle up and down Mount Faber 20 times, that is my own immunotherapy. I'm exercising my T cell lymphocytes, my white cells, to find a balance between whatever is the insult to the body from the environment, from my genes, and what I can do. So taking ownership of my own health.
And having a great sense of humor can also add to one's longevity, I'm sure. Next question here. Will the commencement of CPF life payment be delayed by CPF beyond age 65, Greg?
So maybe just for some background, the commencement age for CPF life payouts is 65, and it's up to you to delay it, right? So with every year that you delay, actually your payout will go up by about 7%. And you have this range of 65 to 70 where you can choose to start payouts. So if you're, for example, still working and you don't need a payout to start, then I would encourage you to delay it so that you can get a higher payout when you choose to start.
Thank you, Greg. And this next question for John. What's next for you after beekeeping? Or do you still see yourself staying in this passion business for the time being?
The next stage is to be. You see, remember the bees, like the progression of bees, look after self, family, society. So the next stage is I hope to be, as I mentioned, to be entrepreneurial, and I'm thinking of starting a bee entrepreneurial fund. All right, whereby this bee entrepreneurial fund, those people who have so-called you are retired and you have sufficient, maybe can contribute to the society. By then, we can open up to the students. When the students, especially university students, whoever, they come up with some kind of plan, they can start their own enterprise. It's like a little seed fund for them. So, and then I think a lot of us who are up to retirement age, right? My advice is not to retire, but to refire, but then to invest part of your resources to help the younger generation to have a better start, to have a head start. So I think when I was a teacher, I remember we were teaching students to collect little stamps and then go to save POSB saving, collect the stamps, and then when they all fill up, they go to save. So I think it's a very good lifelong values for students, for young kids to invest for themselves and also for the future. Yeah.
Fantastic. And I love this phrase, do not retire. You should refire your passions and perhaps serve other communities, other generations. Thank you, John. So this question is an interesting one. I think it's top of mind for many people today, and I'm going to open it up to any one of my panelists, and it's this. How much money is enough for a comfortable retirement? I hear some laughter in there. How many people actually ask this question or want to know the answer? Who would like to take this question? How much money is enough for a comfortable
Can I
retirement?
add
Of
this?
course, John.
I think I have a friend who's a financial advisor and things like that. So some of them they have a lot of wealth, they have a lot of properties, but they have this spirit of poverty. They got so much to say, oh, I only have so little. Actually, they could live for so many lives. If they would spend only 1 million for the whole life, they got so many lives they can live over and over again. So why don't we use a little portion of it to help the younger ones to have a head start? All right? They don't need to work, but then they contribute and let other younger ones to have a head start. So I think they're more than enough. Right? If you look at if people in other third world countries, sometimes they have less than whatever we have, and they live happily. Right? So it's not the amount that we have. I think it's I must have 1 million to be secure. I think just live our life happily and passionately and purposefully. I think whatever amount we have in the bank account, in CPF, that should be enough, in my opinion.
It's like having the abundance mindset.
Yes, having abundance mindset is more important to have, I got to have this. And then we'll be also driven by, I haven't got this. I think I'm not secure enough. There's so much fear of lack. But look into the possibility of what we can do rather than having lack and the fear of lack.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris, you want to add on? Yes.
3 points. First is too much and never enough. You say how many people will live to 100 years old? We'll never really know what tomorrow will bring. But really the problem is the fear of not enough. Sometimes it's disproportionate. Number two is that too much and not enough depends on what is the need and what is the want. The need may be satisfied by coffee C, but you want Starbucks, then it's not enough. Public transport, very good in Singapore and cheap. Why do you need that Maserati? Scoot, Airbnb, very good. You want to do revenge traveling. So I think if we control our needs to what is basic and good enough, and we don't always go for the Joneses comparison next door and who, there will always be enough. And third most important point, back to my original point, if you really are down and out, just check into B2C, you'll be fine.
You're very consistent with your messaging, Chris. I like that. Greg?
So I think it boils down to what you define as comfortable, right? And I think that's somewhat of a relative concept. So maybe here's where a children's story comes into play, because I have 4 young kids, and so I read a lot of children's stories. And there's this book, I don't know whether other parents have read it, it's A Squash and a Squeeze, where there's this old woman, right? And she's complaining about how small her house is. And she goes to a wise old man for advice. And luckily, the wise old man didn't tell her to upgrade. Instead, the wise old man tells her to basically add things, right? You add this chicken, you add this cow, and all stuff it into your house. And she's like, how's this helping? Then after that, he says, okay, now you remove the cow, you remove the pig, you remove the chicken. And at the end of the day, she finds, hey, my house is very spacious, even though it's the same house. So the moral of the story is actually what is comfortable is somewhat related to what you're used to. So maybe that's partly the spending habits also. How do you kind of have that discipline when you're younger to save first and then spend, so that you don't get used to a kind of a very extravagant level of spending, and then when it comes to retirement, actually you will find that actually having that base level of spending is quite easy to manage.
Great advice. Thank you, Greg. And I love that story too. Makes a lot of sense. Alfred, anything to add on? How much money is suitable for a comfortable retirement?
I mean, like the three speakers I mentioned, it varies. But if I need to put a numbers, go to CPF website.
Do
Why?
they give us numbers on how much is a comfortable retirement?
You look at full retirement sum. Based on this year, if you turn 55, the full retirement sum you need to put aside is 198,800. 1988.
Did someone clap? Is that in your, oh, auntie, you clapped? Oh, because you have, oh, no, you're not you. Okay, sorry, okay. Eyes, the light's very bright, sorry. Yeah, carry on.
No, because they are looking forward to today's number. No, you want inspiration, you go CPF website, right? There are so many numbers there. So full retirement sum is 198800. So basic retirement sum is 99400. So if you have 198800, by the time you turn 65, you can withdraw about 1,006 a month for life, right? If I'm not wrong. Then if you stretch it to age 70, you can even push it, bump it up to more than 2,000 a month. So that will give you something comfortable already, right? So if you need to put a financial number to it, this is the one. So if you say, hey, this one, tak cukup lah. Okay, I want more. I want to actually stay in the cruise or whatever. Then you use that number and progress upwards because that will be your base. So that I hope that will give you some idea how you can say, hey, how much retirement income will be enough for me. And then at the same time, back up with your cash savings because that is very important. That will allow you to deal with life emergencies, right? Maybe you have a grandchild and your grandchild has certain talents and you want to actually be able to support them. Yeah, so that you have a lot more choices and you work by choice and not no choice.
By choice. Having a choice is really, I think, wealth today. Is your retirement sum fixed at 55 or can it still increase until 65, the payout age? That's the next question. Greg?
The answer is yes and yes, right? But what I mean is this, the basic retirement sum, that is fixed when you turn 55. So this is not a moving finish line as when I talk about running a race, right? Your basic retirement sum, that one, when you turn 55, whatever it is, currently it's 99,000 odd, it will remain fixed for the rest of your life. What increases, actually, is the enhanced retirement sum, right? So that one actually allows you to top up more and more. The current enhanced retirement sum is 3 times of that, so it's about close to, I think, 298,000 roughly. And that actually, you can top up to that level today so that you can get a higher payout. And next year, it will increase further. It increases about 10,000 each year. And so if you want to top up more, you can top up more and more every year. Yeah. So that's what I mean by yes and yes.
Yes and yes is good. Thank you, Greg. Now, this next question, any tips on how I can better balance my passion, my interests, and work because I'm still a full-time employee? Maybe this one's for Chris. Any tips on how you can better both responsibilities and passions at the same time, Chris?
Yeah, so I think it's a very good question. And Minister has already partially, I thought, answered this. We need to start early and be flexible, meaning that, okay, so, I'm 66, right? I used to do all the high-end operations, but they become a little bit too stressful, and anyway, the younger ones are much better than me now. So I'm very happy to let go and just do simple things, but I take on things that spike my interest. For instance, I attended a 1-year course from SMU on coaching because I realized that mentoring doesn't really work for the young generation. 1 year in, 1 year out. You really have to, in a way, stimulate their own search for answers for the brave new world. So there's a need for it. I feel very passionate about it. And I've never studied so hard in my life because the exams are very difficult to pass, to get licensed. So I think curiosity and continue to learn, but think ahead. Don't get caught at the moment of retirement with no preparation. So maybe as you go nearer retirement, your work really need to delegate and have people who are even better at their job than you are, and be happy to walk into the sunset with renewed and refired purpose.
Yeah, and it's really about planning early, and the keyword here is delegate if you have to. So this brings me nicely to my next question. It's an interesting one. This question says, I am retired, I'm turning 74. What else can I do? Let me see that. What else can I do? Because I don't have any financial planning. I'm not interested in traveling, so revenge travel doesn't work. And I've bought all my insurance. Any advice, John?
Start beekeeping.
And Be Amazed has a booth outside, don't you?
Yes.
So would you like to try beekeeping? Because I'm quite interested in bringing my kids there, because he tells me that he has only stingless bees in...
At Sentosa Golf Club. I keep bees, stingless bee at Sentosa Golf Club.
All right.
They are very difficult to find, but somehow I managed to get them because one of my friends, he was moving out of his place, and I managed to get these bees from his bungalow, right? So now those bees are at Sentosa Golf Club. But the rest
Premium
of them
bees,
are at nature reserve. We can't go and get them from there.
Okay. So yeah, you could try beekeeping, or you could try and speak to some of our panelists after this discussion. I'm sure they may be around to give you some inspiration. There's another question here. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, by the way. Lots of questions coming in. This one says, there is always a worry about the delay for CPF payouts. And losing out if we come across premature death. What advice do you have? It's a bit morbid, but Gregory?
Yeah, well, okay, maybe backtrack a bit to explain a bit about how CPF Life works, right? So CPF Life is basically like any other insurance, it works by risk pooling, right? So when you talk about life insurance, for example, what happens is that you pay a premium, and then when you pass away, the insurer will pay out. For CPF Life, similarly, you pay a premium, but basically what you get is you will get a payout as long as you live, right? So as Alfred mentioned, the longer you live, it incentive to stay healthy and get more payouts. But the additional feature of CPF Life is that when at the point you pass away, your loved ones will get back the unused premium. Basically, whatever premium you paid, less of the payout that you had received. So you always get your money back, or your loved ones will always get their money back. So you don't have to be worried about dying early, premature death, and losing out in that sense.
I like that. It's like money back guarantee, right? Who doesn't like that, right? Yeah. Cool, Greg. Coming back to Alfred then, how long should those with private integrated shield plans and riders hang on or downgrade with the rising age-banded premiums, Alfred?
Now, like what I mentioned, after you turn 50, the premium will jump. So if you are talking about 50 to 90 years old, and if you want to have plan A and with all the riders, you must be prepared to pay more than 300,000 in premiums. And that is provided the premiums stay constant. But with the claims going up, this premium may actually go up. Because medical insurance, the premium increase as we age. Then if you also have to take care of your spouse, then that amount times 2. Okay, so then the next question here is, do you have the financial resources? Do you need to stay in a plan A, private ward? So if your answer is yes, it's just like when I travel, I need to go by business class, then no choice, then you must be prepared to pay for it. But if you say, no, I need to prioritize my financial resource, I only have so much money, right? And I'm happy to take Scoot, I'm happy to go to the restructured hospital. In fact, restructured hospital are bigger, and they have a lot more facilities, and they got food court. So you have so many choices, and therefore you can say, hey, I don't need all this, so I'm happy with the B2 and C ward. Then your cost of that part will drop tremendously. Then the so-called the additional 600, 700,000 that you're prepared to pay for premium now can be used for your retirement lifestyle. Pursue your your interest, your passion, do whatever refiring things that you like. So then that is where you find money, ma. But you must first say, hey, I need to start thinking where to get the money. Then another thing, just to add on what Gregory mentioned about the premature, right? Because CPF life is very good if you live as long as possible, right? But some people also ask me, what if I die halfway? Which is why it's very important you must make CPF nomination. And I understand later in the afternoon, there's a session about this CPF nomination, estate planning. So this is the part where you have to say, hey, who are my loved ones? Who do I want to take care of? Or who do I actually want to show love to? I think nowadays, right, more and more people understand they don't need to leave too much money behind for their children now.
Why?
Anyone still think so?
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Why you want to leave so much?
Because I want to be a
spend
good
first,
parent. Huh? Spend first? He said save, then spend.
You spoil them with your money.
So just leave them to be independent. Wow, this is like getting life advice 101, from these gentlemen.
No.
Seeing that I'm a much younger, as Min Ong pointed out.
She seems to be a very traditional mother. I mean, leave some lah, right? Because why? Especially if, let's say, because last year I have an operation, so I was on crutches for 2 months. And that's where I realized that, wow, actually family support is very important. So if, let's say, I start to think, right, if let's say I can live up to 70, and then my last few years that I'm bedridden, oh, okay, so I want to show some appreciation if I go. So this is the way, ma. Then if you don't show me care, then I change.
The ultimate test when you're on the sick bed and who shows you the most care. Well, that's harsh, man. That's really harsh. But that's reality for you, ladies and gentlemen, right? So very candid stories here. I do like that. Okay, we got to wrap, but I'm just going to ask 2 last questions. So effective strategies to deal with inflation. I would like 1 strategy from each of you, please. Let's start with Gregory. I'll come back down. Effective strategies to deal. Just give me 1.
Well, I think as Alfred mentioned, actually one effective strategy for retirees, right, because your income basically may not grow naturally, is to think about the escalating plan, because the escalating plan gives you a payout which maybe start a bit lower, but it will rise by 2% each year. So that's something to consider.
Okay. Thank you, Greg. Chris?
I'm going to go to the CPF website and start studying it.
Okay. Okay, you know where to go, guys. Thanks, Chris. Alfred?
Don't buy car. No, I mean, of course, because recently I just been monitoring the COE price.
It was just pretty nuts.
But actually, very importantly, is to invest, right? To have a balanced investment portfolio. I mean, of course, if you have CPF, using the CPF special account is very good because it pays you 4%. And I think they just recently revised to 4.04. Right? So there's a slight increase there. So that interest is enough to combat the inflation for now. Okay, although I think many of us don't really feel the inflation at 3%. But I think, again, it's about lifestyle, right? So then your cash, you really need to invest so that you can actually, and then you say, hey, then what's the return? I'm not a very high-risk taker, all these things. All you need to do is talk to your financial consultants to say, how can you give me an investment portfolio that can beat inflation? Okay, maybe +1%, +2%. Then from there, you work backwards to look at an investment portfolio that will suit your risk profile. So investment is very important.
Thank you, Alfred. And John?
Be like the bees. Bees are very good mathematician. Input must be more than output.
Yeah, input more than output. I like that. It's very easy to remember as well. And one final question, okay, to my gentleman here. And this is like your mic drop moment, such that when you say this, everyone leaves with a wow. Okay? No pressure. But this is, after all, a Ready for Life festival. So again, kind of a similar question to what I posed to Minister, but one key piece of advice that you want them to remember today as we get ready for life. Let's do John, and then we end with Greg this time. Okay, John?
don't ever retire, but refire.
Okay, don't ever retire, refire. I like that. Alfred.
This is a tough one. I would say visit CPF website as a reading hobby.
As a reading hobby.
Yeah,
okay.
so you always get latest information updated.
Okay.
And you know when they are organizing the next event.
Okay, all right. I like that. Yeah, wow, very good spokespeople. Very good spokespeople. Really passionate CPF lifers right here.
Just a disclaimer.
Yeah.
I'm not paid.
I had to add that, yes. Not-
Totally national service.
okay, Chris, you cannot say visit CPF
Low
website.
sugar, low sodium. Sorry. No. Don't procrastinate. Do it today.
Don't procrastinate. Yeah, get started today. And Greg.
I think if they walk away remembering less, I'll be quite a happy man already. I would say that, coming back to a couple of the points earlier, in terms of effective strategy for countering inflation, the learning part is key, right? Because you need to keep learning to keep earning, and then if you keep earning, you don't need to worry about inflation. And then in terms of talking about leaving things behind for your loved ones, actually for your children, it's more important to teach them less rather than give them more in the end, because the less is really about the financial literacy, helping them to grow their own wealth and be prepared for life.
Thank you, Greg. So really wise words there, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank John, Alfred, Chris, and Greg for sharing their wonderful insights and really personal stories. We hope that more Singaporeans in our midst today will be motivated to start early. I mean, we've got such sound advice on how to get our financial foundation sorted, right? Firstly, by planning early, leveraging CPF Live to organize our retirement plans, and being proactive, taking steps such as do not retire, get refired, right? Correct, get refired, and then taking steps to visit the CPF website as your daily hobby. Just read up there. Do not procrastinate, and don't spoil your children. Give them less so that they will be more independent. Because ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, we hope that you've gained some really great insights today on how you can make every day matter and plan for your best life today. So thank you very much to my gentlemen and to you, my wonderful audience. Thank you for your questions. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Chris, for the compliment. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of today's session, but before you go, please, can we just trouble you to scan this QR code on screen to leave us some feedback so that we can continue to curate relevant and interesting programs for you. My name is Yvonne Chan. It's been an absolute pleasure to be your moderator for this session. Please do remember to check out all the activity booths we have just outside this ballroom. Have a wonderful day ahead at the CPF Ready for Life Festival. Thank you, everybody.